Hey everyone, and welcome to a special E3 edition of the show. The big show is almost upon us, so today we're going to discuss what we'd like to see from the show and what we'd expect to see from the show. Joining me today is Greg Smith.
Hey, that's me, and of course we're joined by Chris, the ventriloquist McDonald. So, how are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing it right.
Good.
Alright,
Good.
let's get to it. We'll start off with Xbox then. So, Scorpio we expect to be announced. Do you think that it's further off than the PS4 Neo?
Definitely. I think they're going to let Sony take the hit of negativity on that, see how that goes down, and then try to build their marketing a little around that probably.
And we can
I
the price
don't know what the strategy will be, but it can't help to kind of go full offensive in this matter. I think to be honest, it is a matter of urgency for Microsoft. So they've got a lot of catching up to do and a lot of hearts to win back. So yeah, I expect them to really pull out all the stops at E3 to really kind of remind or just tell people why they should be an Xbox owner, and if you move from Xbox to PlayStation, why you should come back. This will be the probably. I think honestly, Microsoft will show the most and they'll have the most to say. If they'll steal the show, we don't know yet, but they're certainly going to try, and I imagine that's what they're going for.
So, in order to do that, I think we can expect that Gears of War 4 is going to be the marquee game, the headliner of their show. How do you expect that game to look? Do you think it's going to be a return to their roots of the franchise?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it's going to be a back to basics for them. 1 and 2 I played, and I really enjoyed those games. 3, I wasn't quite an Xbox gamer then. My loyalty went back to PlayStation, but I still played it, and I just didn't like it that much. It was Gears of War, but I didn't feel much like a Gears of War game. They changed a few things, and yeah, I mean, I really didn't care for it that much. I didn't finish it. I just played a bit, and that kind of said it all for me. The other games I played all the way through, and I found there was replayability there and just a genuinely good game. But with the third one, I didn't. So I know I'm not alone in that opinion as well. I know a lot of people that loved the first 2 games weren't a fan of the third. Apart from Martin, who's not here right now, but he will not shit on Gears of War. He will praise that game. But yeah, basically, I think they are going to have to go back to basics and kind of reinvent the game in a way, just to, again, just show off what the Scorpio is capable of. If it's going to come out, that's going to be the launch game for that, and what's going to make it different from the past games. But also, what are they going to keep that's going to bring back original Gears of War fans and Xbox fans that bought the console because of that game and that franchise. So I'm certainly intrigued to see what they're going to do.
I definitely think you're right there. I think that you touched on something that was quite interesting where you're right, there's this similarity between Gears of War and Microsoft as a company where you can tell that they're now having to try to remind people of why their brand is great. So they're kind of returning to basics with everything that they're doing. Gears of War, I think you're right. From everything we've seen, it looks darker. It looks like it's a return to the roots of the franchise because as that series went on, it gradually lost its identity in some ways. So I think you're right there. Another game that they'll possibly show is Crackdown 3, but I'm expecting a delay for that because we really haven't seen much other than a tech demo, essentially. So I would be surprised if that's this year. And then Thieves from Rare, you know, there's a lot of hype for this because it's got the Rare name on it, but
that's what makes it exciting. Is the fact that it's Rare. It makes you like, what's that going to be like? It immediately makes you kind of excited for it.
Which is quite strange that Rare's name can still do that when, you know, we kind of reached a point where a lot of people stopped caring about Rare, especially with some of the recent output and stuff. But clearly that's not the case. The collection probably definitely helped remind people why they cared.
It's that retro-ness of Rare, though. They had so many good games on like the N64. Like you kind of forgive them for what they did afterwards. because
Oh
those
yeah,
games
definitely,
are so great, you know.
definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, it gives you that hope as well, though. Like, can they pull something out of the bag that's going to be original, but it's also going to be like the previous games? I mean, all their games, all the like Perfect Dark, GoldenEye, Banjo Kazooie, that was Rare, right?
Yeah, and Donkey
Yeah.
Kong as well.
I'd say those are like the three main ones, to me anyway, that stood out, and that's what I remember Rare for. So if
Yeah.
they can do something that's going to be similar to those games, and the way those games stood out for a reason, so if they can do something with that and bring um, the studio back into the mainstream, that's all I want to see. I'm just intrigued at what they've got because it's
Yeah,
just
and I
not.
do think.
Go on,
Sorry.
go on.
I do think when they first came to Microsoft and they started out with Cameo, that was like it was a great first foot. It was just a shame people kind of overlooked it. And part of the problem with their output is it's not just that they haven't done anything, but Microsoft had them on other things because it was Rare that actually developed the technology for the Kinect itself. So part of why they've been away from games has been Microsoft having them away from games.
Another game that we have that I would expect to see is ReCore, the project with Infinity. Do you think that we'll see much of that at E3?
I definitely hope to see more of it. The problem is I don't know where the game's at, and we saw a CG trailer that was essentially just a proof of concept last time, and we've not really heard much since, and it's gotten a delay already, even though we've not really got much to go on. So I don't know what it says about where the game's at. I think when we got told about it last E3, it was extremely early days for the game, and now that they're really working on deciding what they want to do, they realise that they're going to be much further off actually getting this game done. So I don't know if they'll have anything necessarily to show. I'd definitely to see it. I'd like a better idea of what it's about. It definitely looked interesting. Like I did love what we saw, so I'd like to see more. I just don't know if we will.
And another game that we haven't seen that much of is Scalebound by Platinum Games, the project that Kami is leading. I know that's been delayed to 2017, but do you guys think that we'll see more of that game anyway, just so that Microsoft can continue to sort of push that train?
Definitely. Microsoft very much want people to know that they have this Platinum game coming. I mean, they've been very forceful in making it clear at E3s and reminding people that this game is definitely on the way. And they definitely want people to take notice that it's theirs, it's coming to their console, not to other consoles, and you should care that they have it, and you should care about their console because they have this game. So I definitely think even with the delay, we are going to see some. And unlike ReCore, we even saw last E3 that there was a reasonable amount of gameplay there, and with a year's time, there's definitely going to be plenty that they can show off.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to. A delay isn't going to stop them. They're still going to show us, even if it's like a tiny little sneak peek. They're going to show us something. So that's what I expect.
I would like to see a boss battle. I think that'd be quite cool because we did get kind of a glimpse of one last time, and it'd be cool because we've already seen how regular gameplay is, and it'd be cool to see what the boss battles are like and how the sort of AI partner dragon that you have works in terms of boss battles. Because I think Kamiya likes to be experimental with boss battles, and I think when you introduce an AI partner into the mix, I don't see a way that Kamiya isn't going to find some use for that. So I'd be quite interested in seeing how a boss fight is going to be in the game.
Another game that I'm personally expecting to see is Cuphead. I think that Microsoft's been all in on this game since it was revealed. The game has underwent some changes, though, that we've found out about recently, where originally the game was a boss rush game where you only ever fought bosses. Recently what we've seen is that platforming has become a big part of the game and will link those boss fights together. The only question I have is whether those big changes have set the game further back, that maybe that game isn't going to come out this year now. But that's something we'll keep an eye on for the show. Now what we can do, though, is move on to PS4. We've already alluded to the changes that are coming with the Scorpio for Microsoft. The PS4 Neo, do you think we'll get a release date at the show?
I'd be really surprised to not. I mean, it's been so talked about, and there's been so much in the way of leaks and information coming out about it recently that I'd be surprised if it wasn't in such a late stage and such a ready to launch stage that Sony wouldn't tell us about it. And with how much seems to be coming out about it and how much seems to be there to be known about it, it seems like the only reason they haven't announced it is because they're saving it for E3.
Yeah, I think they're absolutely going to mention something. With these kind of consoles, they're going to want to get like a step ahead of Microsoft because they know they're going to go all out here. So I imagine it'll be an October, November release. They want to get in the Christmas market. It's going to cause a lot of conflict between already existing PS4 owners because in a way it's like we've just like shelled out all that money for this console. Now you're telling me I need to go and buy another one. But it's not going to be for everyone. Obviously, it's going to be 4K. I don't know if that's going to be the case for every game. We'll see exactly when it's announced. But with VR and everything as well, there's going to be a lot of reasons why you would want this console. And certainly, I mean, I for one won't be picking it up straight away. I don't feel the need unless something literally blows me away. But I don't know. I'm more intrigued to see what Microsoft are going to do, to be honest. Cause just because I know they need to show something, like they really do need to like pull this off. With Sony, they're already ahead. They're winning this race, so I think they're comfortable and they're just releasing something else because they can. That's how I feel about it, really. But I'll still be interested, obviously, when it comes.
What is interesting? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is interesting about the Neo, though, and a lot of the reaction it's got, is that it's not as a new or different thing for the industry as people are maybe mistaking it to be. It's definitely something that we've not had as strongly for a while, but we've always had console revisions, and as far as, you know, more power or possibly attachments, possibly in the system, you know, even back at the N64, you had the power pack that you needed to play certain games. Yeah. And then Sega, a lot of Sega's money loss actually came from making attachments that they thought people might buy for their systems, like the 32X and the Sega CD. And even Nintendo were guilty of that. Just a lot of them didn't come over to the West because they bombed in Japan and they kind of pulled the releasing before putting them here. And handhelds have been quite guilty, especially Nintendo. In fact, I think only Nintendo, if I'm being honest, have been quite guilty for releasing a slightly updated version. So I don't think it's a great thing, but it's not as new a thing as people are maybe acting like it is.
I think the worry for people is that this seems like it's going to become something that will spread across the industry in the sense that every game is going to utilize it. Like with what you said with the N64, from what I remember, it was only certain games that benefited from that. Yeah. And then the question comes up as well is, at E3 when games are shown, will they specify what version of a PS4 that's running on?
Yeah, oh, no, they will always be showing the superior version. I mean, it'd be silly not to be honest.
You know what I'm expecting them to do as well, though? They will do some sort of split screen where they'll show you a PS4 and what Neo can do. They will do something similar to that.
Oh, for this year, definitely. I don't think they'll continue to do that every year. I think
no, they're not going to do it every year. Yeah, they're not going to do it every single year, but this year they definitely will. They've got something to show off. They want to show, why should I buy this Neo? Why shouldn't I just stick with my original PS4? They want to tell you why you should buy it. So we can definitely expect that.
Another game that I expect to see, and I think it will be one of the big ones for Sony, is DeadDon'tRide. It's coming from Sony Bend. This game seems to have been in development for a really long time. That company has sort of been in the dark for probably 4 or 5 years now. So I expect to see that. And then the other big one from last year for Sony was Horizon Zero Dawn, which had a great reception last year. This week we have learned that it's been delayed until February of next year. Do you think that we'll still see more gameplay just to remind people of this for Sony?
Definitely, we'll definitely see more, especially because even with the delay till February, that still means there's not an E3 between now and then. So they'll definitely want that to get out there now. I mean, we don't know if this will stick, but as far as we're told, Uncharted is done. So Sony are definitely going to want new and big IPs to really sell people with on their console and to prove that there's still a reason to own them. And Horizon Zero Dawn is coming from one of their big, partnership developers. So I definitely think we'll see more of that. I'd be incredibly surprised, and I think it would be, even with the delay, I think it would be an incredibly silly decision to not show more of it.
And how about Shenmue 3?
Now, see, I've backed Shenmue 3, so I do get email updates about it, and from what they're saying in recent emails, I don't think the game's far enough along to even show anything off. I mean, they were recently talking about having just started the motion capture for character movements and stuff, which in this age of gaming is going to apply to everything from how the characters walk to how they move. They've only recently brought a guy in for the storyboarding of the cutscenes, so if we do see something, I think it will be something mocked up at E3 just to remind people the game is coming, but won't necessarily be reflective and will just be a video proof of concept more than gameplay actually running.
And then another one that I know that you're eagerly awaiting, Kingdom Hearts 3. Do you think that Square Enix will continue to show more?
I think they will. I think, despite the fact, I don't think they'll give us a release date. At this point, I've given up on that. I think we'll get the game before we'll get a release date at this point. But they're clearly eager to keep reminding people they've got this game coming. And with Kingdom Hearts, it's not just Square. That's Disney as well. And part of the reason the Kingdom Hearts series continued in the first place was because Disney pushed for it. Despite Kingdom Hearts 1 being a great success, Square weren't really that concerned about a sequel, and it was Disney that was pushing out the door. So I definitely think that we will see more. I think Disney will want more to be shown. I think Square will be eager to show more. And they have been happy to kind of drip feed us information, even at last E3 telling us new worlds and stuff, and I think they'll want to just tease us with a little something we don't already know about the game. Maybe more worlds announcements like they did last year, maybe a demo of some gameplay concept we didn't know about, maybe a story tease, I don't know, but I think we'll see more. I think they're eager to tell us.
Sticking with Square Enix, I think Final Fantasy 15 will get one last push. Obviously that game is imminent at this point, but I think it will get one last showing. And then there's the big one for them, which is Final Fantasy 7 Remake. A lot of people have said that it was far too early to be showing anything, but I think that follows in line with what Square Enix typically does anyway. So I expect to see more of that. I think we might get some character reveals of Tifa and Aerith. Last time around we did get to see Cloud and Barrett, but I think they'll continue to show more of that to continue the hype train. After that, I think that we'll get possibly a reveal for Sucker Punch's new game. Will it be an Infamous? Will it be the rumoured Spider-Man exclusive? Who knows? I guess time will tell. And then the big one for the show, I think, will be God of War 4. There's been a lot of leaks for that game and rumours that it's of Norse mythology. Do you expect that to be the game that closes the show?
I could definitely see it. I mean, last year was Last Guardian they closed with, wasn't it?
I think you're right, yeah.
So I don't know if they'll maybe want to try and repeat what they did last year with that kind of left field closing of something that people just don't know they have coming. I could see that. Which obviously is impossible to predict. But if it's not going to be a left field thing, then I think either Horizon or God of War 4 are what you close with.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
It'll be one of the two. Like definitely, they're gonna save like the main event, so to speak, is going to be one of those games, and they're going to want to go out with a bang. So yeah. you can almost definitely expect to see one of them at least. I personally
one of them will
think
be their centerpiece. Yeah, one of them will be the centerpiece, one of them will be the closer, unless you go for a left field closer again.
Yeah. Now, we don't want to leave them in the dark here, but I guess we should discuss Nintendo. It's known that all they're really showing is the new Legend of Zelda, which apparently is going to be on the show floor for people to try. Chris, how do you expect that to go down?
I mean, I'm really hyped to see Zelda, and I think at this point, and especially because it's all they're showing, they're going to show quite a bit of it. I mean, we've got a lot of rumours about this Zelda. There's the whole idea that it's going to be a remake of the original, which, given the reputation the original has for being really open world, I'd actually say it has a reputation that's more true than it is of the game.
I think it's time for Nintendo to do something like that, though. I don't think they've stepped up and done something ballsy like that. So I think you want them, you almost expect them to announce something kind of almost out of the ordinary, because Nintendo I would say they're a very safe company. Once they've established something, they'll stick to the same formula for a while. They've done that since the Wii. They haven't really You know what I mean? I'm expecting them to do something very different and a bit
Well,
wild.
open world at this point, open world isn't a thing that Zelda hasn't done at this point.
I know,
And
like, to have a remake of an open world of a game that was already so successful. I know that's what the
yeah,
question is.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see it be a remake of the original. We do know, I think Nintendo confirmed it's open world, or maybe it's just been such a prevalent rumor that I've accepted it. Um, the original, the original has a reputation for being open world. I think it has the reputation more than it actually was. I mean, the overworld was definitely very open. The order you tackled the dungeons in was semi-optional. It did force a degree of linearity. Like, there was only so many you could do out of order. So it'd definitely be interesting to see that. As far as the NX not being present, it's a decision I don't really understand, but it's their decision, I guess.
It depends how far along in development they are, though. We've not really had many updates. That they have been keeping us in the dark about that. So maybe they're doing that for a purpose, and they want to wait till later in the year, and then go with it. Maybe even E3 next year. It's difficult to tell right now.
Now, some might call this Stockholm Syndrome, but a company that's been near and dear to our hearts over the years has been Capcom. It looks like they're being very aggressive recently. There's definitely been a change of pace for that company that I think's gone under the radar for the general sort of gaming public. It looks like there's going to be a new direction for Resident Evil. What do you think, Greg? A reboot, or do you think it'll be something else?
I mean, what we're all expecting is Resident Evil 7,
Yeah.
but if we're going to get that as a different story. And the closer we get to E3, the more different things I'm hearing. So to begin with, it was Resident Evil is going to be back. It's going to be the main headliner from Capcom, and it's going to be a back to basics approach. It's going to be back to survival horror. It's going to be almost like a reboot, but it's not going to be a reboot in terms of like this is going to be the first game again, but in terms of going back to what worked for the original Resident Evils. This is apparently what it's going to do with a new main character, and that's all we really know. We know nothing if it's going to be back to the original camera angles or if it's going to be to the Resident Evil 4 in the one we've got right now. We really don't know with that. But the more I hear about it now is that Capcom are going to announce Resident Evil 7 and show some footage of the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Right.
And also what I've heard is Resident Evil 7 is not going to be the main one they show. That's going to be pushed back for release in 2017, and they're going to really push on with Resident Evil 2 Remake for release later this year. And a leaked image, which I don't even know if it's official or not, we're still waiting on word from that, but it was basically showing you an artist's sketch of the remake Star's office from Resident Evil 2. And this close to E3, it could just be absolute bull, or it could be, a genuinely leaked picture. And if it is real, that does make me believe that it is going to be Resident Evil 2 that we get. And we already know what to expect with that. But to be honest, I think that's the right thing to do. Resident Evil 2, if you do announce that one first, you know you're going to get horror, you know you're going to get that game. The question is, will that game work with the Resident Evil 4 engine? Will they make the game too easy, or will you need to go back to the fixed camera angles that you became so familiar with that franchise for? I mean, what do you personally think about this, Kev?
I think it's going to be interesting to follow. I think you make a good point in the sense that if they push on with Remake 2 first, they can then further gauge what to do with Resident Evil 7.
Exactly.
The
If
reception
Remake 2 is going to be a hit, then you know what to do right, basically.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to follow. That was just a taster of what we expect from Capcom. In the future video, what we will detail is our thoughts on Capcom, Bethesda, Warner Brothers, and some of the other big developers. But as for now, if you could just like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.